So I had this epiphany the other day that I really want to share because I don't think I can be the only one who was like this. But quick little backstory, a couple of days ago I was brainstorming some things about my main character. So if you don't know, I talked about this in my last video where I know a lot of things about my side characters, but for whatever reason, Noah, my FMC, I don't know a lot about her. Her backstory is very unclear to me, and I was just trying to like brainstorm a little bit, trying to think about why is she the way that she is? Why does she love her community so much? Why is this job, this internship so important to her? And then I had this great idea and I was like, wait a minute. I kind of snapped there. Like, I think that I'm onto something. But then I was like, wait, I relate to this like heavy. Like, this is something that like feels almost too close to home for me. And so I was like, nah, let me not put it in, because if you don't know, on YouTube, I'm very, very private. I like to keep my personal life and YouTube life separate. The only thing that I like overlapping is like the friendships that I make along the way, but for the most part I don't like to share my personal life online. And so I was kind of like thinking about my book in the same way, and I was like, oh, I can't put this thing about my main character because I felt like it was too personal to me. And so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like try to find something new. And it was so weird because like I was treating my book and the writing process like I treat YouTube, which is so very different. And it's funny too because even if I put the thing in the book, nobody would know I relate to it. Nobody would know this is something personal to me in a way, or at least relatable. And I'm not the type of person who, like, my FMC is me. Like, I know some people can write characters and it's pretty much just them and with a different name. I know I used to do that a lot when I was a kid, but this main character, she's not really like me. But in a way, like, there's a piece of myself in each one of these characters. Like, even though I can't say like, oh yeah, this character was based on me, there are little things about each character that just based on me creating them, they're a part of me, and part of me is in them as well, if that makes sense. Anyways, I just thought that was so crazy to me because of how I was treating, like how I wanted to go with the writing process, and kind of like, oh, I'm not gonna put this thing that works so perfect for this character because it felt too personal to me, and I felt like I was exposing myself even though I wasn't gonna blatantly tell people, oh, this is something that happened in my life as well. It made me sit and think and be like, wait a minute, like, why am I writing? What is the reason for me to sit down and write this book? Because up until this point, in the past 6 months since I revived this story, I've been so focused on the plot, the characters, the drama, like how I want the story to go, making sure that my grammar makes sense, trying to like practice more writing because I've been dusty. I have not written in years prior to that. So I was just so focused on the content of writing that I completely didn't consider how I would want my audience to feel. And again, like, that's a whole nother thing because like I'm trying my best to not think about y'all, no offense, just because I don't want to get too blinded by, oh, I don't want to put this in there because I don't want people to take it this way or whatever. Like, I'm trying my best to just make this about me and just focus on me and what I want. And so in that moment when I was like, oh, I don't want to put this backstory on my character because I related to it, it was a moment that I was like, wait, I do kind of want to think about the audience in a way, and I'm also the audience. So it's a trippy situation, but just work with me. I just thought it was really important to try to understand why I wanted to write my book and what I want people to take away from my book. And although I still want a messy, dramatic book, a page turner, and something that people are like, yo, this is a really good book because of the like content, I also want people to feel seen in this book, and I do want it to be relatable. And if it's something that I can relate to, then that's a really good sign, because of course I won't be able to have something relatable to every single reader because I don't know y'all in your lives, but I don't want to like take away like a human element of my story because I felt exposed. Yeah, so I don't know, that moment kind of just shook me because up until this point, like I said, I have not been thinking about the audience and how I want people to feel beyond drama. I never thought about how like the deeper part of writing. And I have some books that I rated 5 stars, not because the content was amazing. There are some where there are really cringy moments in it, but just because it made me feel seen and it made me feel like I can really relate to it and the struggles and the characters, I rated it 5 stars. And it's not even one that I can be like, oh y'all, you need to read this, because I know that I'm biased, you know what I mean? And I don't want to strive for my book being like the most beautiful literature you've ever read. read because I just don't think that that's gonna be me. But I want to think more about humanizing, like putting the actual like human element into these characters, because I felt like these characters were real until I was like, oh shoot, like that's too deep. But that's a good sign that I'm like the characters are real. Hopefully I'm making sense to you guys, because my brain was kind of exploding when I was realizing this. But yeah, I just kind of moving forward want to not be afraid of putting like things that I can relate to heavy in it, because at the end of the day, nobody needs to know which parts of the characters are relatable to me and what parts are completely not. And I'm dedicating like this book to the younger version of myself, and from the jump I knew I wanted to do that, just because I always wanted to write a book, and now I'm doing it and I have hopes of completing it. But also, like, I don't think it's bad to put personal elements into my book, because in a way, like, okay, I'm healing this version of myself that didn't know she could ever write a book, but then also in other ways that are reflective of what I've been through in life. So yeah, I don't want to like take out a part that just fits so well with the character because it also fits way too well with me. And I think it's just because I'm so protective of my peace, myself, my privacy, and even younger version of me. Like, I'm gonna put a picture of me when I was younger up on the screen, and tell me why, like, even just putting her up here, I want to take her down real quick. Like, I don't want to put this picture up for too long because I feel so vulnerable. Like, I feel like I just need to like protect her, and like the way that I don't want to put family members online is the same way I feel towards her. And I feel like that's why I had so many alarm bells putting things in the book that I related to. So what am I gonna do with this information? I don't even really know beyond just being more open to what I put in the book. But yeah, it's just weird that I just never thought about like the takeaways that I want people to get from this book. Like the themes, like the deeper themes. And I feel like maybe because in book talk right now, like we're so focused on like tropes and like things that can grab readers' attentions for like marketing purposes, right? But no one puts like the lessons learned in these books. Like, you're gonna take away blank, blank, and blank, which could be a spoiler, so I don't know if I would recommend it, but it would be nice if we kind of took a step back from tropes, or at least were able to add in lessons and things that are just a little bit deeper. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not gonna try to change the direction of my book by any means and try to make it less juicy and spicy and dramatic and like a little bit trivial in the scheme of like romance. But I do want to have like really strong characters, and I feel like the way to do that is going to be looking inward and trying to analyze the human experience and see like how I can like showcase that into these characters beyond Grumpy Sunshine, you know? So we're gonna go ahead and do some writing today. I've not written in a lot of days, but I'm so excited to get back into it with this new mindset. And yeah, welcome to today's writing vlog. realized is super helpful with my characters and trying to understand them more is to go on Pinterest, or not even just Pinterest, but just like online, and search up quotes for like people with like those characteristics. So for example, just now I was looking up quotes for someone who's like very uptight, likes to be in control and stuff like that, because I feel like that can be really helpful, because a lot of times quotes are trying to tell you what you need to hear. So if I'm somebody who's always uptight, feels like I need to like be in control and very type A, then I'm seeing quotes about like loosening it up a bit, everything's gonna work out in time, like things like that, that I feel like it's really helpful for deepening the character and also helping with like the lessons that I eventually want them to learn and stuff like that. So yeah, I just started adding those to my Pinterest board, because each person has their own board, and also like the setting and stuff like that, because I have a hard time just like describing things if I can't like see it in my mind. I have to go to Pinterest. So yeah, that's kind of just what I've been up to. I'm gonna try to do a little bit more writing, and then I want to do a little Q&A at the end. But it's crazy just the things that I learned with this whole writing process, and how like in the revisions, like I'm gonna have a lot to do. So let's get started. So I just read some of my work because I love to reread old chapters before I start writing again, and also when I'm in a POV I haven't written in a few chapters. And y'all, oh my gosh, I snapped, I fear, because I was like freaking out with something that I wrote. And oh my god, like sometimes I'm like, shoot, I'm such a bad writer, but the way that I was like, did I really write that? Did I really write that? I'm just like so proud of myself. Like the way that writing is such like an up and down roller coaster is so annoying, but I was just like, dang, I really snapped. Like it's not even funny. And I am my newest favorite author. It has been declared I am my newest favorite author, and I write all of my favorite books, because I already knew that I was obsessed with my book and my story, but like even more so now, I'm like, dang, like I did that. So anyways, I just needed to say that because I really think it's important to like praise yourself when you feel like you did a good job on something. And I'm just really proud of myself because in the moment I'm like, does this even make sense? You know what I mean? So yeah, I can confirm that it does make sense, and I can confirm that I am indeed my favorite author. So anyways, I thought we were gonna do a little Q&A. A couple weeks ago I asked for questions on a community poll, and so I'm trying to answer them at the end of my writing vlogs. But I got this lovely question from Joy, and she asked, what elements of your writing process work really well for you, and are there any that don't? Are there any writing processes that you've seen other people do that you want to incorporate over time? And love this question. Okay, so starting with the first part, elements that work well for me and that don't, I guess it goes hand in hand. For one, which might be, I don't know if it's shocking or what, but I would say that I don't like the Pomodoro method. Like I don't like the 25 minutes on, take a break, 25 minutes back. Like I don't like that. I've never liked that really, like in college when I would be studying and stuff, and that's just not how my brain works. I don't like breaking up my flow of things, and so if something is working for me, I don't like to take breaks. I just want to like keep going until I'm physically, mentally just tired. I'm still gonna do writing sprints. I do enjoy doing writing sprints just because I like to like write together and then talk together, but it's not the most productive time for me. If I'm being honest, in terms of like word count, at least I'm not gonna get a lot of words down on like a writing sprint, or if I'm doing Pomodoro method. I feel like writing sprints are really good for me if I'm doing maybe like research or like doing some Pinterest or stuff like that. But if I'm in the flow, I just hate to be interrupted. So that's what I would say doesn't really work for me. I like to just be in the flow. Also, I've talked about this before, I'm not much of an outliner. I try to be flexible. I do have an outline, but everything written in that outline is just from pantsing and things that I've discovered while writing. writing. So I know that that's really helpful for some people, but that's not really helpful for me. And something that I feel like works for me also is I know some people really like to go to cafes to write and get things done. I do too. I love going to cafes, but mostly just for the vibes and stuff like that. If I go to a cafe, at least for writing purposes, I don't think I'm gonna get very many words done. I will get words, but it's probably gonna be only like a couple hundred. And like if I have 200, then I'm happy because the vibes are really nice and I had fun being just in that atmosphere. But for the most part, I just really like to write at home. I feel like I get the most done at home. I'm just comfortable. I don't have to like be uptight in like an uncomfortable seat, you know what I mean? So I really like to like write in different areas in my home. And I know some people are like, I can't work in my house, in my space, and that's totally fine. But personally, like I will go out to write, but I try not to do it when I want to get a lot done. Like if I have mental deadlines or mental goals that I want to achieve, then I'm probably not gonna go to a cafe. But yeah, and a lot of times too, when I go to the cafe, I'm not just writing. I do like editing or other things at the cafe, and like writing just is like something I do as well. But if I want to get a lot done, then I'm gonna do that at home. And sorry if you hear like hammering, there's construction outside. But the next part was, are there any writing processes you've seen other people do that I want to incorporate over time? I know that Alyssa in the books, she does a lot of like dictation, and I feel like that's really cool, but I just don't know if it would work for me. The idea sounds hard. I don't know, because a lot of writing for me is like sitting and staring at the computer, and I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, and I don't even know exactly how this dictation thing works. But based on how I think it works, I think it might not work well for me, but I would be open to trying it. But I just know even on a day-to-day, I'm not that great with my words, so I think sitting and typing is probably the best for me. Any other processes? Forgot to add this, but I really like the idea of having like a writing routine. I don't have a routine by any means. I don't even write every day. For the most part, I have like priorities, right, that I need to get done, and that's work, YouTube, and like something that like feeds my soul. And so sometimes it's writing, sometimes it's reading, sometimes it's spending time with family, sometimes it's doing a craft. Like it varies. And so I don't like to schedule out time for writing, or at least I haven't yet scheduled time for writing, because that just goes into like the category of me time and whatever I feel like doing to fulfill my soul. So I do think it'd be nice to have some type of writing routine, and maybe at some point when I take writing more seriously and I'm like, okay, it's now like a huge priority, then I will probably try to make a little writing routine. But at this very moment in time, I just don't. Like, it's something that I see more like a fun thing. Like, it's not really something I'm trying to like monetize at this moment or think about making money by any means. So it's not something that I put into like my non-negotiable serious things that I need to get done, because it's just a hobby, you know what I mean? And like, I think also I'm a little hesitant to make it like part of my like a strict routine, because it's not something I am focusing on right now. Right now it's just about having fun and writing and doing whatever I want to do. But eventually, maybe when I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I think maybe people want to read it, try to get serious, then I could make it more of a routine. But yeah, I think it's smart to like do daily writing. I just don't. But one day. Anyways, back to the video. I really like the idea of like trying to make my characters as real as possible. In a vlog a couple months ago, I started getting like set associations with each character, and I do like the idea of trying to like do more things with my senses to visualize these people. But I haven't seen anyone really do it to the maybe extreme level that I kind of want to do it. Like, I love the idea of trying to be like, okay, what's something that they would eat? What's something that they would wear? Almost like thinking of like a Q&A for them, and like what would they do and say in certain situations and stuff like that. I think that's something that I would be interested in trying, but like I said, I haven't really seen very many people do it in that way. But yeah, anyways, I think that is all for today's writing vlog. I am so happy with how this day turned out. I feel like not that I got a lot done, but just how I feel. If I end a writing vlog feeling the way that I feel now, then I know I did a good job, and I'm really happy with that. And going back to like the beginning of this video when I was talking about like connecting with my characters and stuff like that, I just love how I'm just getting closer and closer to not like cracking the code, because I don't know, there's a code to be cracked. I feel like it's different for every person and every writer, but I'm glad that I took down that mental block, and hopefully I'll be able to make characters that people can really relate to. And also, one of the reasons why I was like freaking out and being like, oh my god, I snapped, is because I was reading a chapter on my male main character, and he was saying some really vulnerable stuff, like in his head of course, but I was like, I know people in my real life who would resonate heavy with this. So I just love that even though I couldn't resonate in the same way, I feel like it's something that other people can relate to, and I'm glad that I'm now gonna have an aspect in one of my other characters where I'll be able to really resonate with them, and it will just make me feel happy because I just want this book to feel like a friend, just like my videos. So anyways, if you guys have any questions that you would like me to answer at the end of my writing vlog, be sure to leave that in the comment section, because I like to chit chat and I feel like you guys like it too, so we can have a little discourse and I can respond to it in the next video. But other than that, I think we're done. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!